Hello, little bug.
Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate-gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG1 and Atlantis. Hello.
How are we doing?
Okay, how are you?
Okay, also. Yeah.
Woo.
Busy this week?
Yes, extremely.
Yeah.
Second week of classes, but
yeah.
It was only my first time meeting a bunch of students, and we're using a new online learning system that is very different, and I'm learning new and annoying things about it that work way worse than the old system and that take way longer, and it's just been annoying.
Neat.
Not really.
Great.
I'm all for changing technology, and I get that the old system's being discontinued, so we had to upgrade to this new one. But why do they need to make it worse, though?
Good question.
Some parts of it are easier. We use a system called Blackboard, and we switched to one called Blackboard Ultra. And a lot of it does work easier, but I would say more of it is actually worse than better from what I'm seeing at this point.
Give it a cool name like Ultra.
Yeah.
It's got to be better.
It does have to be better, of course. Like the fact that I have to put all of my lab and lecture materials and all of my basic syllabus and textbook and everything all now needs to go on one page instead of 3 separate pages, which means just way too much stuff on one page.
Boo.
And the way the Grade Center works makes it much harder to monitor how students are doing on different assignments. And it's annoying and I hate it. And it's had me grumpy the last day or so because it took me twice as long, not even twice as long, like literally 5 times as long to do stuff.
Ugh. That's
yesterday.
awful.
It would normally take like 5 minutes for me to quickly see, okay, who turned in these 5 assignments late and let me go and ignore the late attempts. But it took me way longer to do it this time because of the changes that they've made. And it's just annoying.
Yeah. I hear that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh, what are you drinking?
Nothing exciting. It's Diet Coke.
Ooh. I've got a Heineken NA here. It's also not exciting. I'm wishing it was real beer. I was so annoyed yesterday after work that I just went straight to the brewery instead of coming home first.
No.
I'm like, God damn it, I want a beer. I'm gonna fight with this stupid thing. I'm gonna fight with it at a brewery.
Yeah. Damn it.
That's what I did. I went and had a beer while I fought with the stupid computer.
Oh, boo. I'm sorry.
Stupid.
Sucks.
It does.
You should quit your job.
I should. That's an excellent reason to quit your job. Although, to be fair, I probably spend more time using that software than I do actually interacting with students. So, given that 2 of my 3 classes are hybrid and all of them, hybrid or fully in person, require a lot of work in that program.
Gotcha.
How's work for you?
You know, we had our technology upgrade this summer. We're still working through that.
Yeah, we also got upgraded to Windows 11, and that's been causing issues with the classroom computers. I'm like, great. Like the technology, the screens, the overhead screens don't always work.
Wonderful.
The way that they need to, yeah.
Helpful.
Yeah. But anyway, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, It's just same old type of things at work. I have been having work kitchen frustrations, which is so dumb, but I was like so mad about it. So our admin assistant has been on a mission to clear up a bunch of spaces around the office, which is mostly fine, but I'm also like, why is the person who's only here at most 3 days a week the one who's making all these decisions? Whatever.
Right.
It was fine, though, until I went into the kitchen the other day and she had moved the microwave from the left side of the sink to the right side of the sink part of the counter. And we have a very tiny kitchenette and all microwave doors open the same way. And if you put it to the right against the wall, you have to open it towards the sink and there's no space over there to stand and put food in and take it out, and it's very annoying.
That is annoying.
So I was
move it back. Just don't say anything and put it back where it was. That's what I would do. That's obnoxious, but that's what I would do.
I mean, she had put other stuff on the other side of the counter. So I asked her, is this temporary? Can we put the microwave back? And she's like, no, we need the space. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So I was like bitching to my manager about it. But then today I was like, you know what? I'm just going to email her and her boss and be like, can we please do this? Because it is not enough space for people to move around in. And so our department head moved it back.
Jeez. Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kathy wins.
I won. I feel kind of weird about it. Like, am I the only one who was unhappy? I don't know, but
Probably
I was
not, but you might be the only one that said anything.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even like an equivalent move. When she moved it over to the other side of the counter, she put it next to the coffee maker. There's no space over there.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
That's dumb.
Anyway.
People are dumb. People have ideas, and those ideas are dumb.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Stupid work drama.
I hate work drama.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know who hates work, not drama, work bonding? That's not even... And also
bonding that turns into drama?
Yeah, and dealing with technology issues.
Yes. Who's that?
SG1.
Yes.
All of the SGC.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes. Also a bunch of random people in the woods.
Yes.
On multiple planets.
Indeed.
Yeah. What's this episode we're talking about?
This is Stargate SG1, Season 10, Episode 5, Uninvited.
Just keeps making me think of the Alanis Morissette song every time I read that title.
Oh, I don't know if I know that song.
It's called Uninvited.
I probably do. I just probably don't know that that's the title.
I'm sure it's like 20 years old, so I'm sure you would have known it back in the day.
Yeah.
The episode starts with a recap that I haven't pulled up yet. A very short and kind of random recap. The Sodan can be invisible. The NID is investigating the Trust, but it's been infiltrated by the Goa'uld, and it seems they've managed to brainwash Barrett. End recap.
It was very
It was
random.
a weird recap, right?
Like, Barrett wasn't even in this episode.
No, he wasn't. They did mention him briefly that he seems to be doing okay, but it was weird. And just the random Sodan disappearing, I was like, that's all you're going to give us is just a 2-second shot of a Sodan disappearing?
Yeah.
It was weird.
Very strange.
Yep, but that's what they went with.
Yes, they did.
People making strange choices with the recaps also.
Yes. We start in what we learn is General O'Neill's cabin.
Yeah.
Is this the same cabin he fishes at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It canonically, it is the same. Whether or not it was actually the same one, I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, General O'Neill is not there. General Landry is.
For a second, I got my hopes up that Jack actually was going to get out of the car when he pulled up. I was like, that looks like O'Neill's cabin. Is it? Oh.
No. Landry is waiting, and a car pulls in, and it is not, as Mary said, O'Neill. It's Mitchell.
It is.
Lieutenant Colonel Cameron Mitchell. Nice outfit.
It's fine. Mitchell got lost on the way, which doesn't really matter.
That's what GPSs are for. They had them back then.
Yeah. Mitchell says it looks like he beat the others up here, so they're expecting more people to come to Jack's cabin. However, Landry informs him that Teal'c has gone to help Colonel Reynolds' team, who are off-world at the moment. It also means, though, he says that Carter is also delayed until Reynolds comes back because Reynolds is supposed to be commanding the SGC while they're all on this field trip to Jack's cabin. We also learn that Daniel is again not in an episode of this show. This time he's in England.
And the aptly named Sir not appearing in this film.
Looking for Merlin stuff.
Good Merlin pain.
Then Mitchell says that Daniel is like a fat kid in a candy store, which Landry takes exception to.
Yeah. It was a big boy.
Which I was actually, I appreciate that you're calling him out on the fat joke. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's not cool, Mitchell.
Yeah.
And good job, Landry.
Yeah. But at the same time, with Landry later also not being clear on what Mitchell's boundaries should be and what he says to Landry, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, is it just more of that? Do you really care about the joke itself, or are you just fucking with Mitchell? I don't know. Anyway.
Unknowable.
Yeah. Vala also is supposed to be joining them, but she has to wait for the others because she's not going to drive there herself, probably.
Right.
They probably wouldn't let her anyway.
She knows how to drive.
Yeah, and they wouldn't let her, I'm sure. Because they do not trust her still, even though they made her part of the team.
I mean, it's not unreasonable to maybe trust her in life and death situations, but not trust her going out and to not rob a bank or something.
Fair. That's true.
She wouldn't necessarily hurt anybody, but she might try to rob a bank or steal some stuff.
Yeah. So in the meantime, it's just Landry and Mitchell there having their forced bonding.
Yo, it's boys' night. It's the night for boys.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how weird this would be, and I was trying to think of who in my own workplace this would be the equivalent to having to hang out with and how weird it would be. And it would really kind of depend, because if we're just talking like my department chair, that would be fine. But then if we're talking about the dean of faculty, that would be super weird and awkward.
Yeah.
But then if we go even higher and we're talking about the new president that my school has, she seems super cool, and I'd be totally fine with getting to know her in some random place out in the woods, because she seems awesome. I haven't met her yet, but I like her, and I voted for her as much as we get a say, which we don't really, but we were allowed to give our feedback.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I figure we kind of skip a tier. There's a tier in the middle there that I would not be okay with, but the lower boss or the higher boss.
Yeah,
both of those would be fine.
Yeah, I think my immediate boss would be fine. The one above, she's nice, but that would be awkward. But she would try because she's super into the team building stuff and morale stuff, and her boss would be weird. That would just be weird. And our like head librarian, she's cool. I would hang out with her too. Yeah, nice. So it definitely, it depends.
Yeah, it depends more on the individual person than it does their specific role, I think.
Yeah. So they're supposed to be relaxing, Landry says. Mitchell does throw in that they're doing this while the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. But Landry's like, you gotta get some rest. We'll burn out otherwise. It would suck. Mitchell's like, yes, I'm sure it will be fun. And Landry's like, damn right. And they go in the cabin where Landry so kindly has coffee ready.
Yeah, I'd be delighted. I like to go places and find out that there's coffee, especially if it ends up being good coffee.
Yeah.
And free.
Oh, yeah. I love free coffee.
Same. The only time I've turned down free coffee was that hotel that we stayed at in Rehoboth, Delaware. That one time we were doing the Dogfish Dash, and the coffee was so disgusting that I took a sip and dumped it out.
That's so sad, too.
Yeah. Do you remember that place? That is the only thing I remember about it, is that they had free coffee, but the coffee was completely undrinkable.
Was that the second year?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Because we only did 2 years in hotels, right? Before we went Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the first one was weird because it was...
The first one was weird because I booked it on hotels.com.
Yes, that's
but they said that they didn't have a record of it, and he yelled at me for using hotels.com instead of booking directly. And I'm like, well, they were cheaper, though.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the website that charges me less.
Fair, yeah.
For the same room.
But anyway. Then we are on the off-world planet where Reynolds and Teal'c have met up to find out what's going on this planet and why Reynolds couldn't come back. There are some missing villagers. They've sent out armed search parties, but they haven't found anything. He reports that these folks have lived on this planet for generations. They've never had an animal perceived as a threat. Teal'c says maybe it wasn't an animal. And Reynolds says, if it wasn't an animal, then what tore them apart? And then we get a shot of some dead people all ripped to shreds and bloodied up.
Yeah. Quite gory.
Indeed. And then it's credits.
Credits.
And
then we're in the briefing room. And Sam is in charge. She's in charge of everything.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
She is sitting there with Teal'c and Vala. And Reynolds is actually there too, so he has come back. Everybody's come back. And they're talking about what happened on that other planet. They can't imagine that it's some kind of an indigenous creature that is native to that planet because the people would have run into it at some point long before in the history of living there. So they're wondering if it could be something maybe sent by the Ori, an Ori boogeyman, as Sam asks. They all agree that whatever it is working because the people are terrified and the thing is doing some horrible stuff to people. Nobody has seen it, though, so they don't know what to look for. It just seems to attack out of nowhere and leave no survivors. They don't think that it necessarily had anything to do with their presence on the planet because it sounds like they didn't get there until the people had already gone missing. So it probably was just a coincidence that they happened to come by around when this was going on. And they're guessing if it did have anything to do with the Ori that a prior will show up sooner or later to claim some responsibility for it and to try to spread the good word from there. Vala is all for using what she calls their superior technology to hunt this thing down. Sam looks skeptical that Vala would actually care, but we've seen Vala care about other people at this point, so I don't know why she found it so surprising here.
Yeah.
She's selfish when it comes to money and stuff, but we've seen her be more selfless when it comes to helping actual people.
True.
By now. And Vala says that she's got all kinds of vast experience hunting rare and deadly creatures of all kinds, so she thinks that she could be really helpful in all of this. And she just wants to know where to begin. Just tell me what to do. I'll go there. We'll get this done. Vala says, well, fine. If you don't want me to help, then you and I can go ahead and get started with the quality time that General Landry wants us to spend, to which Sam looks quite appalled and does not seem at all to desire to do that. So she's going to let Vala help with this whole situation. Sam decides to send Teal'c, Vala, and Reynolds back to 333, the planet, with SGs 3 and 25 to see if they can figure out exactly what this thing is. But she doesn't want them to be detected by the locals, just in case there's Ori involvement or the locals decide to blame them for it, or both. Teal'c reminds her, though, that is General Landry not expecting us at his cabin? But Sam thinks that they'll just need to let him know that they're going to be delayed. Vala comments about how she's sure that Colonel Mitchell is thrilled that he's going to have more alone time with Landry.
Colonel. General.
After everyone leaves, Vala takes a second to talk to Teal'c, who's the only one remaining in the room with her, to quietly says that they need to try to catch it alive, okay? But Teal'c says that that's not their mission. However, Vala thinks it could be worth a lot on the open market, so they could split it 50-50 maybe? Or name your price? We'll keep it hush-hush just between us. So, once again, we see Vala seeming to care about other people, but then actually going back to being selfish.
She could be two things.
She can. She can not want people to get hurt while also wanting to benefit financially from the situation's resolution.
Then we're back with Landry and Mitchell. They're hanging out outside on the porch of the cabin. Landry tells Mitchell that the rest of the team isn't going to make it because something is eating people on P9J333. So they've sent Teal'c and Vala. Mitchell's like, oh, maybe I should go too, yeah? Landry says, nope, they have other teams with them. They're fine. You have to stay here and hang out with me. Also, you need to put away your laptop. Why are you doing work? You're supposed to be hanging out with me.
It was silly.
Yeah. He also tells Mitchell he doesn't want him to be so uncomfortable around him. But Mitchell's like, you're my boss. But Landry says, you should relax and enjoy this lovely area we're in. They hear some gunfire, which is when we learn that there's a lot of hunting happening out there. Landry says they're hunting elk. We also learn Landry is not really into hunting. And Mitchell says, well, I guess if your day job involves running around the woods carrying a gun, it's not much appeal to it outside of that.
I don't see much appeal to that even when my job isn't involving running around all day with a gun.
I'm not really into shooting things or people or anything.
Killing animals for fun or sport.
No.
I guess it's different if you actually eat the animals, but trophy hunters are garbage people, in my opinion. Sorry if any of you are trophy hunters, but that's just murder for fun, in my opinion. And I've killed many animals over the years, and I have felt horrible about it every time. I've had to do it for jobs and for school, and I hate it every time.
And that was that scene. It wasn't that exciting. It was just establishing that Mitchell's stuck with Landry.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of guys with guns running around.
Indeed. Next, we're back in the forest on that other planet, P9J333. And everybody is wandering around, trying to quietly track whatever the thing is. They see some large animal footprints. Teal'c doesn't recognize it. He's never seen anything like this creature before. Vala wants to dig a deep pit to start building a trap for it. She's found the perfect spot, even, and says, why don't you boys get started? But of course, none of the people, Reynolds, Teal'c, and the other soldiers with them, are too keen to begin on that. Especially because they don't have any shovels, which she is appalled to learn. Then there's some animal noises and some gunfire. So it would seem that one of the teams, SG25, I think it is, that they'd say that was over there, is not doing so great. SG25 leader radios to them. It thought it was weird that he just called them as SG25 leader instead of giving an actual name, but... But that's how he identifies himself, and then there's more screaming. Teal'c and Vala and the rest of the people with them manage to find SG-25, and the leader that is just credited as SG-25 leader, says that it came out of nowhere and it was nothing like anything that they've ever seen. There is a wounded soldier with some damage. They're all kind of a mess. They've all been pretty badly damaged. I don't think any of them are actually dead at this point. So Teal'c is just quietly telling the person that he sees laying behind the tree to stay calm and quiet and it'll be fine. And we hear more growling. Teal'c grabs the guy and drags him off, hopefully to safety.
Yeah, this is such a weird episode.
It was a weird episode, but I like a good monster movie, so...
Fair.
Spoiler, I did enjoy it.
And spoiler, really didn't. Then we're back with Landry and Mitchell. They're inside playing chess now. Landry's kicking Mitchell's ass.
Do you think Mitchell's letting him win? I bet it's actually just because Landry's that much better.
I think so. I mean, Landry assumes that. He's like, are you pandering to my ego? And Mitchell says, no, I hate chess. Let's get a PlayStation and play some video games and I will kick your ass then.
Yeah.
So, but I'm with you. I'm not a chess person, Mitchell.
I like chess. I like chess and video games. I'll play either one.
Fair.
I don't remember if I played SOCOM 3, which is the game that he was talking about.
I have not played that game.
I don't think I played that one. There was another one that was a military-style game that I was dating someone in the military at the time, and I played that one a ton.
Gotcha.
On his PlayStation. But anyway, I don't remember. I don't think it was that one, though. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
They have a talk about how Landry wants Mitchell to be honest with him and how maybe it's hard for him, and Mitchell's like, it's probably harder for you, this whole situation. They make reference to something Mitchell said to Landry last week about not being in charge of anything. Is that something that happened in the last episode?
Not that I could remember,
I can't remember. And Mitchell says he's used to a clearer chain of command, and I'm so confused.
Yeah, it seemed like a weird conversation to me, and it did make me wonder
Did I miss
if there was something that got cut out of a previous episode and that they just didn't bother to change the script on for this one.
Maybe. But Landry's point is, like, you could have done anything. You could have picked any team you want, and you chose to bring SG1 back together. And Mitchell's like, yeah, it's cool, and I like it.
Yeah, I don't know why he was talking about not having a clear chain of command either. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Maybe just because they've got an extra now 3 non-military people on his team.
Maybe
now with Vala, Daniel, and Teal'c. But they don't make it clear what he's actually talking about.
Dealing with all these non-military, it's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Especially Vala.
Right. I liked the episode of Mythbusters where they actually tried to herd cats.
I didn't see that.
It was funny, and it did not work.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It was one weird, bizarro thing after another.
Yeah, so I guess they're just trying to, like, have a heart-to-heart about why Mitchell likes his job and how he feels he belongs.
It sounds like a yearly review, but
Yeah.
in a way worse format because they're out in the woods for the weekend to do his yearly review kind of stuff. And that seems weird.
And then Landry's basically like, yeah, and you did all this stuff. You brought SG1 back together. You're going to keep working if we're going to have any hope of defeating the Ori. There's a lot hanging on you, Mitchell. It's just, it was just weird.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's so funny because the bonding in the episode of Atlantis we just watched felt very, like, genuine. And this just feels like a more forced version of trying that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I was about to say, I'm wondering if they were actually trying to make it feel like that and just not succeeding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just always find Landry a little awkward.
He is a bit awkward.
What's so funny? You talking about my eyebrows again?
Back on the planet in the forest, Vala is running by herself to the Stargate and the DHD. She starts dialing out. Teal'c all of a sudden comes out of the woods and she almost shoots him because she didn't realize that he was in the area. And which makes him ask, well, why did you run off by yourself? She says she was just trying to get some help. That's why she was dialing the gate. She heard something growling. She was dialing the gate to try to call for help. Teal'c doesn't hear anything, though, so he doesn't know what growling she was talking about, and she says it's probably because he scared it away, and that's great. So then all of a sudden we do hear growling, though. Vala starts firing, And Teal'c throws a grenade in the general direction of the thing that we hear but don't see, which seems like a really bad idea since there are other SG team members out there somewhere.
That is
How do
true.
they know that they're not accidentally shooting or exploding them? When the grenade explodes, Teal'c shields Vala with his own body and throws her down on the ground and lands on top of her. As all kinds of stuff falls around her, and she says she's flattered, but she doesn't think that they have time for that. It turns out that they did actually manage to kill something that was not an SG person in all this, because they go over to take a look at the body, and it's a big weird looking thing, and Vala has never seen anything like that before, and she says, so much for taking it.
Then we're back with Mitchell and Landry. It's night still. Mitchell's in his bedroom, I guess. He hears some noises coming from outside.
It's not even outside, it's inside the
Oh,
cabin,
he's hearing the noise
supposedly.
inside.
Yeah.
Oh. So he pulls out a gun and goes to investigate while trying to call out to Landry at the same time.
Why would his first thought be, I need to go check this out with a gun, rather than just thinking, oh, Landry probably got up for some water or something?
I don't know, but Landry didn't get up for water. Landry also got up with a gun.
Yeah, it just seemed like a weird choice to me. You're not there by yourself. Why are you assuming that it's an intruder when you hear noises?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe his hair was standing on end or something. He was getting like a spidey sense.
Also, Mitchell had his finger on the trigger, I noticed.
Oh, jeez.
Bad discipline there, Mitchell.
Yeah, so Mitchell has his gun. Landry has a shotgun. So even though he's not a hunter, he's got a gun with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For protection, presumably.
Yeah.
There are bears and large things around here.
Indeed. That's what Landry said when he was there last summer. A black bear came right through the kitchen door.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I'm like, maybe you just go out the back door and let the bear do what it's want and then come back later.
The bear could do a lot of damage.
I know.
Destroy the entire cabin in that time.
That is very true.
I'm not saying you should shoot the bear, but making a loud noise by shooting in its general direction, that'll do a little damage to the floor, but would probably scare the bear off.
Did I tell you about the time one of my running friends a long time ago came home and there was like a bear in their living room?
Yikes. No.
Because the screen door in the back was shut, but the bear just walked through the screen and had
Yikes.
raided their pantry and was in their living room.
That's rather terrifying.
Yeah.
I've seen many bears pretty close up, closer than is comfortable outside, but thankfully they have all been, as I
Yeah.
said, outside, not in my house.
At least the family was out and they came in and they're like, oh, so they could just turn around and leave.
Yeah. Wow.
But
That's
yeah,
scary.
that's wild.
Literally.
But Landry's ready for that. He's got his gun and they're both laugh awkwardly about not shooting each other because that would have been a weird story.
Sure would have.
The phone's out, the power's out, it's storming outside, but they're going to go to bed. Now that they're satisfied, the only noise is them. Mitchell says maybe we both need to do some relaxing. And Landry promises not to shoot him before morning. And Mitchell says same here. But we get a shot outside. Someone is out there watching them. So apparently their instincts about danger are possibly correct.
It's the blue filter that they always use to denote something supernatural and or invisible.
Yeah.
Watching them.
It's true.
I noticed.
Invisivision.
Yes. Then it is the next day. Everything seems to have cleared up weather-wise. Landry is standing there dressed in camouflage, getting ready to head out. Mitchell comes in and wants to know what the hell's going on. Mitchell, also worth noting, has his duffel bag and looks like he's going to be getting ready to head out in his car, but that's when Landry says, nope, phone and power, still out. And also the bridge is washed out, so you're not going anywhere. So great, because that was the only road out of there.
Womp womp. Poor Mitchell.
Indeed. Yep. Mitchell asks, can't we just use a helicopter? But Landry tells him that we don't use helicopters for our own personal transportation, but also I already checked and there isn't one, so here we are.
Then we're in the SGC with Sam.
You know, you blow up one sun and suddenly everyone expects you to walk on water.
Sam's hanging out in Landry's office, not sitting in Landry's chair, as we have previously seen. That's not a thing that Sam and Mitchell are comfortable trying. Vala comes in to report that SG25 is going to be okay. And she pats herself on the back, which she deserves for being able to use her gold healing device to help them.
Yeah.
Vala makes mention of Sam not sitting in Landry's chair, and then she goes to sit in the chair, saying it's about time a woman sat here. And Sam is like, well, actually, Dr. Weir used to sit there all the time when she was in charge. Vala's like, oh, okay. She goes to put her feet up, and Sam is like, no. No. Not happening. So Vala ceases attempting that. Vala wants to know, now that the creature is done with on the other planets, when do we head out of here? Sam informs her that the storm has prevented anyone going in and out, so they have at least until tomorrow before that road is reopened. It's very sad for everyone.
Indeed. Mostly for Mitchell.
Yes. Vala says she's sure the boys are having the time of their lives, getting up to all sorts of mischief. And Sam's like, oh yeah, I'm sure.
Then we are back in the cabin, and Landry tells Mitchell that he's in for a treat because the fulvous whistling duck, which is very endangered and very rare, and that he's only spotted once in his life, is supposed to be around here somewhere, and they're going to go look for it, because turns out Landry is a big birder, and he loves it. And we even hear his impression of that duck, which I thought was very entertaining. Mitchell thinks he's joking at first, but then realizes that, nope, Landry really does want to go out there and do some birding. Mitchell declines and says he wants to go for a run to maybe work off some of the beer last night instead. And Landry looks a bit disappointed at that and tells him he's missing the opportunity of a lifetime. But it's something you have to have in your soul, and you have to come to it on your own, so he's not going to make it in order.
That's really funny.
Yes.
I just looked up the fulvous whistling duck.
I can't imagine it's real, is it? I didn't
It's
actually
real.
think to look it up.
However,
wow, really?
It has their breeding range shown, and it's like a southern U.S., Mexico, South America, Africa. It would not be wherever O'Neill's cabin is.
So not middle of nowhere, Colorado?
Yeah.
Presumably that is where his cabin would be. Okay.
Yeah. So just throwing that out there.
Fair.
I don't know why Landry thinks he's going to see them today, but...
No. Yeah, that's weird. So Mitchell asks for permission to leave, and it's granted. He heads out for his run. And we see him take off from outside. But the thing, the blue vision thing, still out there watching him.
Gotta watch out for the blue eyes.
Indeed.
Blue vision.
Blue vision.
Yeah. Then we're in the SGC, where scientists are performing an autopsy.
No. Not unless they are also whatever this alien creature is.
They're examining the dead creature from the other planet. This is a scientist we haven't seen, but who is apparently an expert on animal life on other planets.
She looked familiar to me, and I meant to look her up, and then I forgot. Do you happen to know who she is?
Didn't ring a bell for me, but I was also like, she's wearing a face shield. I don't know if I can see her.
No, we saw her more later, though.
That's true. I forgot. Anyway, she works down in Area 51 generally, but she's up here to examine this creature. It's a little gross, her digging around inside it. And Sam is also grossed out. She says there goes her need for lunch.
It's not that big of a deal.
Dr. Redden is her name. She observes some unnatural-looking tumors in the body. And then suddenly their scans are picking up low levels of radiation from within the body. I guess that's so low they couldn't detect it until they cut it open. But she says the location of the energy is somewhere in the stomach lining.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense. I got the impression that it was supposedly rising rather than not being detectable before they cut into it. But either way, it's still weird.
Yeah. So she digs into the stomach to try to pull it out, and it turns out it's a living, slimy, slug-like creature. Yay!
Gross.
It's alive! Yay!
Not for long.
No, it's not, because this creature decides to make some sort of lunge at the doctor when Teal'c comes in and zats it. Zats it dead.
He does.
Go, Teal'c. Good job saving everyone. Monsters.
I like monster movies, as I said.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Next, we're back in the woods Mitchell's out jogging, and a hunter comes running up to him, screaming for help. And then when he finds Mitchell, he says, "Get out of here." So which is it? Do you want help or do you want him to leave? Make up your mind, man.
No, I also love that Mitchell just takes his gun and the guy's like,
Yeah, just a random person taking your gun. You don't know who he is. Why'd you just let him have it? The hunter says that something attacked him and his friends. It came out of nowhere, and he doesn't know what it is.
It's Sam's Quam Trekkie.
But it came and got his buddy Mike, so bye, Mike, I guess. Mitchell asks the hunter to take him over to Mike to see if they can find him and to see what happened, but it did not end well for Mike. He is lying unconscious, presumably dead on the ground, and we can see that his arm is not as close to his body as it should be if it was still attached.
RSVP, Mike.
Indeed. Then we're back in the briefing room again with Redden. She says the large dead thing up in the lab kind of looks like a lemur, basically. She shows an image of a lemur, but it's a lot bigger than that, like almost human-sized. And it's completely harmless according to the locals on that planet. So they don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
Something caused rapid and extensive mutation, so the thing doesn't actually look like that lemur anymore. And now it's just big and lumbering and gross, I guess. So something happened to change.
By the way, I did just look up Dr. Reddit because I can't help it. And I do recognize her now. I think I remember her mostly from, she was like one of the fairies in Once Upon a Time. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it for a while, and then it got annoying and stupid.
Agreed. It had its moments, and then I was like, no, this is dumb.
Yeah, that's probably what I recognized her from, though. They figure that it is probably the worm thing with the low levels of radiation in its body emanating from it that probably caused all of the extensive mutation. It is a type of radiation that they've never encountered before, which I thought was a weird statement, but whatever. I don't know all that much about radiation, so sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, it lodged itself in the stomach lining of the host creature and then alters its DNA.
You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
The people on the planet where they caught this thing have never heard of anything like this happening before, so probably the small wormy thing is not indigenous to the planet, even though the monster in its original form was. So how'd it get there?
How did it get there? And just before Teal'c shot it, they heard a faint, "They call me Dr. Worm." Good morning, how are you? I'm Dr. Worm.
I'm interested in things.
I'm not a real doctor.
But I
am a real worm. An actual worm. I live like a worm. Then
I like to play the drums. Sorry.
No, I love it. More.
No way.
Then we are back at the cabin, or near the cabin. It was pretty near the cabin where this guy ran up to Mitchell. Wherever the ambulance is, it's apparently on the right side of the washed out road, because they're there to collect the body.
Yeah, I was wondering, how did it get there? The road is supposedly closed.
Yeah.
It's either reopened or, as you said, the ambulance just happened to be on this side already.
They just, stroll through remote areas hoping they'll get a passenger. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how ambulances work. That's not true.
I can tell you from having been on one, worked on one, that is not generally.
If they're in a remote area, they could drum up business by running people over and then putting them in the back of their van.
They could, and I actually read a story about that happening relatively
God.
recently, where an ambulance did in fact hit either a runner or a bicyclist and then had to then take them to the hospital.
Oh,
Yes.
that's bad.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're packing up the body while Landry talks to a sheriff. Landry says it was most likely a grizzly protecting its young. The other guy is like, the witness is pretty freaked out. And Landry's like, well, yeah, he just saw his friend die. He got mauled to death.
His arm's off.
He's had worse. But the sheriff is like, he said a bear or something. So this sheriff is ready for monsters.
The strange and beautiful creature known as Bigfoot, perhaps.
You should always be ready for monsters.
Yeah. His name is Wade. Landry addresses him as. Landry says, I know it's boring up here sometimes, but you shouldn't go making up things that are going to get the locals all excited. And then we see a bunch of hunters driving by, excitedly screaming and honking the horns like, yeah, time to murder things. Woo! So too late, Wade says. Landry advises him to seal off the park before it turns into a shooting gallery, but Sheriff Wade is not about that. He has only 3 deputies anyway, and a half dozen volunteer rangers. That's not enough to police this area. And it's hunting season. By the way, too, if I have a mad grizzly on the loose, we gotta deal with it anyway, so hopefully the hunters just kill it before it kills again. Good call, I guess. Oh. Don't worry, he'll get his.
He sure will. But not just yet, because now we're back in the SGC and there's alarms sounding. Somebody from SG12 is coming through the gate and the medics are coming up with a gurney to help out. This person has reported an emergency and they bring an injured person through the gate and his leg is all mangled. So then we're up in the briefing room trying to figure out more about what's happened. So there's clearly been another attack. It's not clear yet what planet this person was coming from. Teal'c says that attacks of this nature have not been reported before by any Jaffa settlements, so he's never heard of anything like this going on. And no other allies and off-world contacts have reported anything either, so what the hell's going on? They've got a couple attacks by predatory creatures, and Vala does actually say at this point that it was a completely different planet that this second team was on, where the same thing happened again. And this one is a planet that has been converted to Ori, so that's extra suspicious. Teal'c brings up the good point of, well, if they've already accepted origin, then Priors wouldn't need to send this creature after them, so probably not the Ori after all. But if it's not them, where are they coming from? And why are they only showing up on worlds that the SG teams visit, as Sam points out?
Oh, these are difficult questions.
Indeed.
Oof. Next, we're back with Landry and Mitchell, who are arming themselves because they're going to go hunt the monster too. They're just talking about the sheriff and his motivation for letting the hunters run wild. Landry says whatever the motivation, he's got everyone's attention and a bunch of drunken hunters out there hyped up looking for revenge and glory.
Yeah. Nothing mixes better than alcohol and guns and killing stuff.
That's what they always say.
Yep.
Mitchell asks if they're siding with the hunters or the bear. And Landry does say he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt, so probably best if the animal is dealt with. Because next we see they're out looking around with their guns. Mitchell's now finally enjoying himself. He likes the quiet walk through the woods.
With a gun.
Landry reminds him that someone is dead. Mitchell says, yeah, I get it, but you told me to relax. And when I sit around and do nothing, I can't relax. I need to be doing things to actually relax. Landry then tells a story about getting shot down and having to eject in Vietnam. Landry says it took him 8 days to get out of there while he was lost, bleeding badly with no food or radio. Mitchell's like, oh, is that why you don't like to hunt? And Landry's like, I never felt more alive. So I guess he's just trying to connect with Mitchell on that point. Yeah. Landry says he wouldn't call it relaxing, though.
No.
Mitchell, though, says he's kind of twisted that way. They come to a stop, and we see the trees rustling, which I guess could just be wind. I don't know, but...
Or a squirrel.
Oh, a squirrel. Yeah, it could be. But Mitchell chases the breeze or the squirrel. Then they hear on the radio that there's another body, and it's torn to shreds.
Well, how is his wife holding up? To shreds, you say?
It's chaos.
Indeed.
Yeah. Chaos. Landry reports to Mitchell. Mitchell says he's heard it too. Then they come across more death. There's another dead guy. Uh-oh.
So many dead people.
And presumably the creature killed it, not the drunk hunters.
Could go either way. Back in the SGC, Sam, Vala, and Teal'c are all hanging out in Sam's office. They're talking about the fact that on the first planet, they were just there to make first contact with the people and maybe try to warn them against Ori. Second mission, they were just going for surveillance, trying to not be discovered at all at that point because that second planet had already been contacted by the Ori and converted, for that matter. So different planets, different missions, but in both cases, they were trying to be relatively low key because while they planned to make first contact on the first planet, they were trying to observe them for a while first. And so they needed to be stealthy in either situation. And then Teal'c mentions the fact that both teams were using Sodan cloaking devices.
Oh.
They'd been tested for safety before they started using them for missions. And that was about a week ago, so it sounds like this is a recent turn of events where they've started using them. And in light of this, the fact that there could be a malfunction and something causing worms and mutations, Sam requested a recall of all Sodan devices, including ones that are at Area 51 being researched. But there is one cloaking device that is missing and unaccounted for.
Why is their security still so bad 10 years into this?
A very, very valid question. And I was wondering which one was missing, too. Is it one of the ones from Area 51 that's missing again? Is it Area 51's fault, or is it an SGC failing that resulted in this?
I blame Area 51.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, because that's where stuff went missing from last time.
Yeah.
What are they doing over there?
Not security.
Apparently.
Yeah. Next, they decide to test out the devices using Teal'c as their guinea pig. Sam has him disappear, checking for power spikes and energy readings. Everything seems normal. Then he reappears. So I guess she's just having him disappear and reappear a bunch of times.
Basically, see what happens.
Yeah. Vala asks Sam how it's going. She says no news yet. Vala asks if there's word from Area 51. Sam then mentions Agent Barrett. As you said at the beginning, we do get a brief mention of him. That Barrett says his team has detained everyone with security clearance to the lab where the devices were kept.
So I guess it was Area 51.
Yeah.
I somehow missed that when I was watching it.
Stupid Area 51.
Seriously.
So dumb, full of scientists and bad security.
Seriously.
God. They do report that Barrett has made a full recovery from his brainwashing, so that's good. And that Barrett feels real bad about what happened, even though he wasn't responsible. Teal'c chimes in and says that it's ironic that not so long ago, the mere presence of the Goa'uld on Earth would have been cause for great concern. And Sam's like, yeah, that's so weird. Who'd have thought we'd ever have bigger fish to fry?
Right?
Or she says that you would use ironic in a sentence. It's a cute moment.
I thought it was silly. Teal'c seemed to appreciate that too, because he smiled and nodded when she said that.
They continue their testing. Teal'c goes invisible again. Sam's still not seeing anything, but suddenly there's a flash of white on her screen. Suddenly I see. And she says there's elevated radiation.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Teal'c, on the other side of the cloak, in cloak vision, actually sees one of the wormy slug things. He decloaks, and the creature also decloaks. That's kind of wild. All of a sudden, that just appeared?
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Back out in the woods, Mitchell and Landry come up on an area where there's a whole bunch of shotgun shells, so someone was shooting at something. Mitchell makes a comment about a vice presidential bird hunt maybe going on, which I thought was hilarious.
And much more topical 20 years ago.
Yes, I was going to say also, very probably a lot of people now would have no idea what that's referring to, but I thought it was great.
Yeah.
They keep looking around and come upon another group of hunters who are firing on something. So they weren't actually just randomly looking around at this point. They were going to the sound of firing. And they tell the group to cease fire when they got there. And Landry asks what they're shooting at. They saw something moving. They don't know what it is, but it was something. So, always a good idea to shoot at a thing before you identify what it is and whether or not it's a human or something that you don't want to be shooting.
Or you could throw a grenade at it.
Or you could throw a grenade at it like Teal'c did. Right, exactly. So Mitchell heads off and follows the area where the hunters were pointing at, and he finds some broken branches and some blood, and it's not looking all that great. And then he somehow knows someone is there and tells them to turn that thing off. I had no idea how he knew the guy was there.
I think that...
I mean, there was blood, but that was the only indication.
Yeah,
so.
But I think the blood was accumulating. There was more of it.
Oh, okay.
Happening as he watched.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I looked away or something and somehow missed that. All right. So somebody decloaks. Some random person. We've never seen this person before, but whoever it is, they decloak and ask Mitchell for help.
Because he got shot by a bunch of drunk guys.
Yep.
Oopsie.
Yep.
In the SGC, they have Teal'c in the infirmary. They've checked him out, make sure he's okay. Teal'c says he's fine. Vala asks if he's got headaches, nausea, no sudden onset monsterism, she asks. He says he's fine. Dr. Redden comes in to confirm that. There's no radiation poisoning, no genetic manipulation. She says the creature maybe requires sustained close contact in order to affect a victim's DNA. They're running some tests on the creature, but she asks for more details on what actually happened. It just appeared inside the cloaking field, she asks Teal'c to confirm, and Vala says, and then it just sat there like a lump. Sam says maybe it was temporarily stunned by its transition to our dimension.
No, it's stunned.
And that could explain why those who are using the cloaks weren't attacked by the creatures. Redden's like, could you clarify the transition to our dimension part? And Sam explains how they're out of phase with their space-time when they're using the cloak, accessing a pocket of subspace.
How come the Sodan never have this issue when they're using it?
I mean, I don't know why the creatures don't bleed through. Do they talk about that? I don't know, because they definitely talk about why the Sodan weren't affected by the radiation.
Right, but I was wondering why the creatures weren't coming through.
Okay, it was because they do explain it later.
Yeah, but I didn't understand what they were saying later.
So they were basically saying,
makes sense.
So the cloaking device the Sodan used had some sort of, I don't know if it was another energy signature or a radiation that repelled the radiation of the creature, so the creatures didn't come through. But that radiation that they were using on the devices didn't affect the Sodan because they're Jaffa. So when the Earth people got hold of these devices, they deactivated that because they thought that was just a weird thing that happened and wasn't necessary for the functionality of the device.
Right.
Surprise!
Okay. Yeah. I meant to go and rewatch that, and then I forgot.
Yeah, so I watched this in 2 parts and I finished it today. I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, so Vala asks if that means that the creature is from an alternate dimension bleeding through. Sam says it is definitely possible. Vala asks, were the Sodan were using these for hundreds of years. You would think they'd put a warning label on the side. May cause deadly extra-dimensional radioactive monster-causing creature to appear. Or danger. I did enjoy Vala in this episode, I have to say. She was entertaining.
She was frequently amusing in this one.
Sam says it's possible there wasn't a problem until we started using the devices. And then she's like, oh, I know what happened.
Back out in the woods, Mitchell's talking to the trust guy. Seems that the bullet went straight through, so he thinks that the guy will be fine. The guy is not nearly as confident. But Mitchell says, trust me, I've had worse. The operative says that he is bleeding to death and needs an ambulance, but Mitchell says, well, I can do that, but first I need to know how you got that device and what the hell you're doing out here. The guy is appalled that Mitchell's going to let him die, and Mitchell's like, well, I'm not going to let you die, but I would like some answers before I'm going to help you out. So what's the deal? Did you have orders to spy on Landry and me, or SG1, or what's going on? Of course, the guy just keeps asking for help or a hospital or something. Mitchell's still trying to figure out what's going on here. He knows that this guy can't be a Goa'uld, otherwise he'd have already healed himself or be in the process of healing and wouldn't be worried about dying. So this guy's not a Goa'uld. The operative doesn't have any idea what Mitchell is talking about when he starts talking about Goa'uld, but it's not because he doesn't know what a Goa'uld is. He just doesn't know why Mitchell would think he is one. And Mitchell's like, well, how do you not know that you're working for them then? The trust is all Goa'uld all the way down at this point. The guy says, no, you've got to be crazy. But nope. Mitchell says that they should have given him a personal shield in order to go along with that cloaking device because this guy doesn't seem too smart. Maybe give him half a brain also, Mitchell says.
I mean, maybe he should have known he'd be out with a bunch of drunk hunters in the woods, but I don't know. Yeah, but yeah.
But he didn't, I think the comment was more about
thing,
the fact that he didn't know he's working for the Goa'uld, basically.
Gotcha. And then Landry is in the cabin talking to Sam on the phone. So the phones are back.
Crown.
Landry reports that they have found a car full of surveillance equipment half a mile away. And probably that trust guy didn't learn very much except for that Mitchell is bad at chess and maybe has sleep apnea. He asks Sam what she's learned. So she explains that the creatures coming into their dimension is their fault. And that is because they did realize, or they did notice when they started using the Sodan devices, that they were emitting radiation, different radiation from the creatures. Sam says they made modifications to shield those emissions to make the device safe for humans to use. However, it turns out that was what was keeping away the creatures. It repels the worms. The Sodan were protected from this because they were Jaffa and had symbiotes. So that must mean that the Tritonin also heals them. Yeah.
I would assume so.
Oh, yeah, because Teal'c was using the cloaking device.
Right. I think at least to a certain extent. I don't know that it can heal them as well as the Goa'uld did, having a hagfish, it seems, but it does seem that it helps them to heal more so than a regular human might, from things we've seen and comments Teal'c has made about his Tritonin.
True. Okay. Landry asks how frequent the dimensional breach might have been. Sam says she doesn't know. She says it seems random. And she says, but given how long the trust operative was using the Sodan device, she thinks probably whatever creature is out there in the woods with them is probably worse than a bear. Especially if it was a bear hopped up on worm.
Excellent title. Back at the cabin, Wade is there again. They've got another ambulance to help out the guy from the trust. And they're talking about the 2 hunters that they've found. So, does Landry want to tell Wade what's going on? Why are there so many dead people in the woods all of a sudden? Mitchell tries to just pass it off as a guy in the wrong place at the wrong time getting shot. But, what about the other 2 dead people? That doesn't really explain anything about them, Mitchell. Wade also wants to know why he's not allowed to question anybody, including the random mystery guy who has no ID that has been shot. But Landry says that it's the Air Force taking over in the interest of national security, so that's why. Wade is very skeptical that a bear could be impeding national security in any way. It's clear that he's not going to get anywhere, unfortunately, with this argument, so he's not going to get the answers that he wants. And in a minute, it doesn't matter that he doesn't get the answers that he wants because he's dead. The monster just jumps out of the trees as he's trying to get back in his car, and he screams, and then he's dead.
Monster's like just an orange blob with legs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And apparently a mouth.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of the dog-like creatures from Ghostbusters, but it was more orange instead of grayish-brown or whatever. Guess they're kind of more gray than grayish-brown. Stone-looking guys, whatever they are.
Bear in his apartment.
Anyway.
Later, they've amped up their response to this situation. There are way more people out by this cabin now before from the military. They've got tents set up and people everywhere.
Yep.
And the rest of the team, minus Daniel, has finally arrived.
Hey.
Hey, it's bonding time.
It's dinner time!
Woo.
Mitchell's catching up on all the things Sam learned about the worm causing the rampaging monster, as Mitchell calls it. He wants to know how they find it. And Sam says she has calibrated some scanners to pick up the radioactive signature. They can track it within a 300-meter range. They're setting up a perimeter using the same energy that the Sodan cloaking devices were using in order to, I guess, trap it in. Reynolds is like, isn't this radiation dangerous? Oh, and Reynolds is also there. Who's watching?
Everyone's there.
Who's watching the SGC now?
Poulter.
Poulter's in charge.
Yeah.
Even when they are all there, Poulter's kind
be.
of in charge.
Yeah.
Sam says, well, don't get within 100 meters of the package.
That's a big distance.
Yeah.
How are they going to know for sure when they're wandering in the middle of the woods whether they're within 100 meters of it?
It's a good question. But she does say that within 6 hours it will be inert, which is okay, I guess. As long as they don't get too close.
Right.
Vala jumps in to offer up her strategy. She says the number one rule for hunting these savage beasts like this is to not actually crawl through the forest looking for them, especially at night. Find a way to lure them to you. So this is where I think we should plant these isotope things. They all just kind of stop and stare at her. And she looks at Landry and she's like, I guess, or whatever you want to do. So Landry finishes giving the orders and tells everyone to move out. Vala's sad she didn't get to share the rest of her plan. And Mitchell says, well, we'll call that one Plan B. Poor Vala.
Indeed. You have no say here, Vala, though. You're the new person.
Yeah.
No one's going to let you be in charge. Then it is night. And despite what Vala said, they're in the woods looking for the thing in the dark. She tells Teal'c that it is not going to work and doesn't understand why nobody will take advantage of her vast experience with hunting stuff. Calls them amateurs. But Teal'c tells her that a Jaffa warrior once said the greatest strategy is doomed to fail if there is no army to follow it. But because they've got so many people here, that's why they're going to win, even if they're not following Vala's plan. Elsewhere, Mitchell's actually back at the cabin, and he is picking something up about 200 meters northwest of where he is. He asks Sam where she is. She radios back that she's directly west of him, and it sounds like he sees another thing northeast of her position. And she manages to get it on her scanner as well. Teal'c and Vala also are picking up something on their scanner, even though they are farther to the south. Mitchell says they're all picking up the same target. So the Marines are going to secure the perimeter. They're still having trouble narrowing down exactly where it is because everyone's getting a slightly different reading as to its specific location. According to Sam, they should be right on top of it where she is and where Vala and Mitchell have actually met with her, but we don't see anything.
Did they check the roof above? Is it dangling over
know.
them, dropping down from the treetops?
Right? Apparently they didn't, yeah. Then they hear something growling. They all start firing in the direction of the growling, and they do manage to hit it, but it runs away. Vala is very surprised that this thing would actually pursue them, especially now that they're all in a large group. She says that she knows she's been wrong on occasion, but this is just not how a single creature hunting on its own would act. It wouldn't go after a very large group of people out there hunting for it. It would try to stay away from those large groups. They hear the thing growling again, and it tries to attack them yet again, but they manage to kill it this time as they shoot it. Mitchell's like, yeah, I call this relaxing.
Oh, Mitchell.
Vala goes up to it and just fills it with bullets because she says rule number 2 is never approach a creature assuming that it's dead. Landry gets on the radio and tells everybody that the target's been neutralized. Everything's fine. Vala, again, is saying that she thinks that it's weird that it would be so aggressive to now attack this large group twice when it's all on its own. And then all of a sudden, Mitchell tells Landry to get down because there's another monster behind him. Landry thinks at first that he's joking, but Mitchell says, no, get down. He throws Landry to the ground and fires at the creature, and then this one dies too. And Vala's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Way less strange behavior if there's 2 of them. I get it. So Mitchell asks if she feels better, and she does, because she's been vindicated.
Later, after everything's settled down, the team remains at the cabin with Landry. So bonding time commences.
Woo.
With cards.
Poker, specifically.
They're playing poker.
Very Star Trek-like scene.
Yeah.
I should have done this a long time ago.
I did think it was weird that Mitchell was just standing there over them, watching them play, while all of them are sitting and playing.
Yeah.
That's not a thing Picard typically does.
No. Landry reports they haven't found any evidence of any more creatures, but they are going to keep a radioactive perimeter going for about a week to make sure. Sam thinks it's unlikely they'll find more. Vala says, care to play odds? And Sam says she's not much of a gambler, which Teal'c says that is obvious. That's very...
Apparently this is the one thing that Sam is bad at.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I guess there was also like volcanology and delivering babies.
Yes.
She was also bad at those,
yes.
right?
Or, yeah.
Almost forgot about that.
Things she does not do.
Yeah. Volcanoes, babies, gambling.
Yeah. However, as they're going around and, what's the word? Betting?
I don't know. Oh, yes.
Betting and or folding. It comes down to Teal'c and Sam. Teal'c has that stony face. But apparently Sam's unreadable too, because Teal'c...
She's just grinning.
Yeah.
Grinning at him.
Yeah. And Teal'c says a true warrior knows when to fold. And Sam is like, I won. Woohoo! And I was bluffing. Woo! Landry again is like, I'm glad you're all having fun. And Mitchell's like, yeah, last night was awesome. This? Meh. Last night, though, let's go kill some more things. Also, then he laughs and is like, the look on your face when I said, "Sir, get down." And apparently that's too much. Mitchell has crossed the line with Landry again.
Too informal.
Yeah.
He wants him to be a little informal, but not this informal.
Yeah. Which again, I think is just confusing for poor Mitchell.
Yes.
And now Landry wants to be dealt in. It's his turn to play cards.
Yes.
And that's basically the episode. The end with the actual bonding that they were supposed to be doing this whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know we've already said whether or not we liked the episode. What did you not like about the episode? Or what were your overall thoughts beyond not liking it?
I guess my problems with it were that, one, I know there was like a monster hunt happening, but I found it extremely boring. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling like any tension about the stalking around the woods looking for a creature, so it just didn't land with me, and I was just like, ugh, is this ever going to be over? And then I just thought the Landry Mitchell stuff, I know it was forced because of the fact that Landry was making him be there, but it just felt too awkward. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. But when we were talking about it, the conversation was actually more entertaining than I feel like I vibed with while I was watching it.
Fair.
I did enjoy Vala in this episode, I will say. I thought she was pretty entertaining, regardless of how I felt about the episode overall. And then generally, I was just like, do we really need this, like, again, because this is just prolonging the freaking Ori stuff.
Yeah.
Again. And this is
putting these random bottle episodes in that have nothing to do with the overall story arc.
Yeah, and I just was like, can we just end it and then have fun episodes? I did enjoy too where Sam drops a holy Hannah, which we haven't heard in a while.
Oh, right. I meant to mention that too, and I forgot. Yeah, I thought it was great.
So there were some things I enjoyed, but overall, it just didn't land with me. I didn't find it entertaining, and I was pretty bored through much of it. How about you?
Fair. I did like it because, like I said, I like monster movies. Some parts of it, especially like tromping around in the woods of British Columbia trying to convince us that it is the United States, is very X-Files-esque.
Yes.
So I thought it was just an entertaining type of episode for that reason. I agree that the Oride storyline is too drawn out, but I kind of liked the fact that it was an episode that wasn't all about the Oride. They just give us a break from that.
Fair.
So I appreciated that as well, I think.
Yeah.
Probably one of the reasons I liked it more so than some of the more recent ones we've been getting. Because, as I've said, I don't like the Ori. I don't like the whole plot line of the Ori. And so I liked this break from it. There were mentions of them, but it wasn't really about them.
True. What are we going to talk about the next time we're gathering?
Next is Stargate Atlantis Season 3, Episode 5, Progeny. According to TVDB, Weir and the team visit an advanced civilization that split off from the Lanteans thousands of years ago, but discover that they may not have left Atlantis in peace.
All right.
Meanwhile, at IMDb, the Atlantis expedition encounters a highly advanced race, the Asurans, A-S-U-R-A-N-S? I don't know.
Okay.
They initially believed them to be the ancients. However, this new race is just a new face of an old nemesis.
I think I remember this episode.
I don't.
I won't give away then.
Excellent.
What I recall.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I think I've only watched Atlantis like once through, so there's a thumbnail of Jack in here.
What? For next week?
No, not next week. Season 3, Episode 11.
Oh, that's random. Oh,
yeah.
Of Atlantis?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I knew he comes back at some point, like only like briefly, not like as a regular. I know he makes a couple more appearances, but I couldn't remember when. That's exciting.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargatesing.space. Reach us by email, stargatesing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargatesing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargatesing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargatesing, the end.
The end! It took a really long time for me to find that duck.